Hi, if you're an author, and especially if you've self published a book, you may have an unexpected amount of marketing that you're doing yourself. And one of those things is likely creating a website. It can be quite a task. So, Jack and I recorded this webinar to walk you through my Scribe website template for Squarespace and to show you how to write the words for your website. We mentioned a few links during this webinar, and I've dropped all of those in the video description below. If you have any questions about Squarespace templates for authors, feel free to drop those in the comments. So glad you are all here. My name is Christy Price. I'm a Squarespace web designer. I've been working in web design for a couple of decades, and in 2018, I moved my business to focus solely on the Squarespace platform and haven't looked back. So today, I build custom websites for clients. I do education for DIYers and web designers, and I also sell templates if you want to get a jump start on creating your own website or have me build out a template for you. It's a better price point than a custom build. So, those are all services that I offer. And I've actually worked a lot with Jack, who's here today, my favorite copywriter. And I'm going to read her bio. So, Jacqueline Fish is an author, copywriter, and founder of the Intuitive Writing School, where thousands of business owners have taken classes to learn the art of intuitive online writing. She guides creatives on how to bust through writer's block, create consistent writing habits, and drop their filters and censors. After spending more than half her professional life in corporate communications and management consulting, she jumped off the corporate ladder and has been running her freelance copywriting and coaching business full time for the past 8 years. Through thought provoking blog posts, copy coaching, and writing workshops, Jack shows you how to write about your work to stand out and sell more while making every step feel unreasonably fun. And like I said, I've worked with Jack on several projects, and she is always a delight to work with. We have a lot of fun while we're working together. And she is such a great copywriter in that she explains so well what you need to know about the words on your website. So, Jack, I'll throw it over to you.
Of course. Thank you for that amazing intro. I love working with you on a website. When I hear that you have a website project coming up, I'm always excited to work with you because you run your projects like a boss. And
Thank
coming
you.
from I'm a former project manager. I know how to run projects well, and I just know it's going to be so smooth, well set expectations. It's going to be fun. So thank you.
Thank you.
So I saw some of you mention that you couldn't see my video yet. You can't, and you're not going to. I quit video in my business over 2 years ago. And when I tell people this, a lot of people are like, what? Like, how did you do that? You can't have an online business without video. It's like, oh, yes, you can. Watch me. Here, hold my latte. Video there's lots of reasons why I quit. I'll just talk about a couple of them. It's really distracting, especially if you're trying to learn something and I'm screen sharing. You're busy looking at my face, looking at random cats walking by, kids, dogs. You're consumed with my background, looking at my bookshelf. It's just not necessary. And we can go so much deeper and stay so much more focused without the added distraction of looking at facial expressions. So I quit a little over 2 years ago. It's been the best decision in my business. There's also a strong energy component to it, what that does to your energy being on video all day, even just being aware of it. So when I tell people, back to the no video, when I tell people I don't do it, a lot of people are like, oh, I wish I could do that. You can. So just start turning it off more and more. I've only had 2 people in 2 years be unhappy about it. And it was like they wanted me for a podcast that they had to have video for. And I said, well, this is what I do. So no, thank you. So no video. You have my photo and I'm going to be screen sharing. So we're going to talk through a couple things today. We're going to talk through a template that Christy's created for Squarespace. Love Squarespace. I have 2 websites in there. And then we're going to go through what to write on there. So once you have the template, okay, what do we put on there? So I'm going to share my screen.
All right. So Jack is sharing one of my Squarespace templates that's for sale in my template shop. This is a starter template I created for authors specifically. I love working with authors, and I find that, they've written this book and then they realize, wait, now I have to market my book. And I feel like, it's not something that is often expected, or maybe it's a little more challenging than you expected. And one of those ways to connect with your audience, to grow your audience, to stay connected is through having a website. So I have a couple of different website templates specific for authors. Now, Jack is going to go through page by page what should be on your website, but you'll just see on the homepage there is an intro of the book, an intro for the author, a little bit about you. And if you continue to scroll down, some testimonials and any other books you have. And any of these sections you can remove, you can add sections, you can change things up. And in the footer of every page, we have, sorry, Jack.
I make
In the
people
footer of
busy.
every page, there is one of the most important things I think is, getting people's email so you can stay connected with them, and quick links and social media stuff in the footer. So, in addition to the homepage, this particular template has additional pages for books. So, you can have a page for each book that you have. And so, there's more information, more testimonials about the book. You can add a book club guide if you'd like. And again, links to other books to keep people engaged on the website. And there's also an about page that is all about the author. So, a bio about you. In this particular template, I wanted to add some fun things. So, under this initial bio, some favorite things. I feel like it's just friendly, and you could certainly replace this with something else if you don't have favorite things. And we, um, after we get to know you a bit, you can get in touch with the author here. So you'll notice that throughout this website, one of the things is you don't get stranded on a particular page. You always have a link or something to do on that page. The contact page has a way to get in touch with you, and then also info for your agent, publicity, and that sort of thing. In general, the 4 pages, the main pages that we use are the home, books, about, and contact. Now, a lot of people offer visits as well, and that could also be events. So, some of the authors that I've worked with in the past do both virtual and in-person events. So there's a little blurb you could add about that, get in touch again to schedule that, and then a list of upcoming events below. So again, I love minimal design, keeping it simple, keeping it easy to use. And this template in particular, I think, is really just plug and play for authors. I know Squarespace has a lot of free starter templates, but they don't really have one like this that is geared toward an author that you could just plug and play. There are also some other pages, Jack, if you want to just roll over that. We don't have to
Mhm.
look at those, but you can add a blog or a link in bio page. A custom 404 page is a page that shows up if somebody lands on a broken link. There's a media kit and some alternate layouts too. So those are additional pages. But the main pages we're going to talk about today, or that Jack will talk about writing for, are home, books, about, visits, contact. And then she's also going to talk about services because some authors do offer services. That's not part of this template, but you can really easily add a page and just grab sections for layouts to create that page.
Awesome. I love this template because it is so simple.
Thank you.
It probably one of the most common questions I hear from other authors, especially new authors, are do I need a website? Or people are telling me I need a website because authors, the forte is usually writing. That's why you're an author. Some people are authors first, then become entrepreneurs, or they're entrepreneurs and then write a book. Entrepreneurs typically understand the reason why you have a website, but if you're not an entrepreneur and you're an author, well, I guess actually, if you're an author, you are an entrepreneur. You just don't know it yet because you have something to sell. You have a product. You have a book. Where most authors don't think about it this way. I hear a lot of authors uh, not loving the marketing process when it comes to their
Yeah.
book. Like, we
Yep.
just want to write books. I don't want to have to sell them, and selling them is a lot of work.
Hmm.
There's lots of things that go into this. I mean, of course, write a great book and it will help sell itself, and write a book that you're going to be excited to talk about for the rest of your life because that's how long you'll be talking about it for, which is all good news. There's endless ways you can promote your book online. All right, I'm going to jump to talking through what to write. So we're writing our website now. What the heck do we put on here?
And if you
So,
want a copy of the copywriting guide, there's a button at the bottom of the screen.
so you all have a link to this guide, which we're also going to share a replay, the link in the replay. Outlined here are the navigation items we walked through, where Christy was displaying the Squarespace site. And what I want you to know is, even though you see the website navigation laid out like this, the biggest mistake I see people make when trying to write any website is starting with the homepage. Just because it's the first page you see when you start writing does not mean it's the first page to start writing. It's the first page you see when you land on the website. You're going to write the homepage last, and you'll see why when we get through this, and it will go so much easier. So I'm going to jump around too. So you'll see this guide laid out with homepage first, because the logical way our brains want to see it. I'm going to suggest you start with either your book page or your services page. So starting with books, here you can do a couple things. If you have multiple books, you can summarize all the books you write. So-and-so name is a nonfiction author who writes about life and writing and also has a poetry book. So feel free to sum up all the work that you have here. And if you have one book, then this would instead say book, and this would be your single book page. And as you add more, you can think of this page as a landing page for all your books where people can explore others. All of us here are probably readers, even if we're not authors yet. And what we love to do when we discover an author we love is go read all their other books. When we just find a book we enjoy, it's like, yeah, I want to go see all the other things that people write. So having this collection here on your website, great spot to summarize it. Your book blurb, if you already have one, this is going to be probably 99% of what goes on your book page. So good news, if you already have a book blurb, it is already done for you. It might sound a little bit different based on writing it for the web. So you'll make maybe some tweaks to it, knowing it's not sitting on the back of the book and it's sitting on a website. And you'll add some other things. You can add a chapter summary, especially helpful for nonfiction books, what to expect from the book. If it is a nonfiction book, I'm a nonfiction author, so a lot of my examples go to nonfiction. You're going to cover the problem it solves. So your book is a sales page. It is like anything you sell, a service, a physical product, a digital service, digital products, you're selling your book. So for someone to land on this page, you get the opportunity to sell the book beyond what is on the cover, where if someone picks up your book in a bookstore or they see the cover, and we're literally judging a book by the cover on Amazon, you get the opportunity to say more here. So once you have some reviews, get them on your website, screenshot them, share them here, quote them. If you are doing a pre-release, like it's a coming soon, this is your book coming soon, you can share early reader quotes because they won't be live on Amazon or Goodreads or anything like that. And you can also request people review your book on Amazon or Goodreads. Always a good idea to be asking for reviews, because as an author, as a self-published author, getting reviews and marketing your book is an ongoing activity. It's not a one and it happens. So some other things you can include there: free resources from the book, extra materials that you didn't see in the book. If you also have a book club, you can include that information in there. Like if you have any downloads, bonus materials, a bonus audio, removed chapters. That's always been a favorite of a lot of my readers. Like, I took these chapters out of the book, read them here. Special access to an author Q&A and anything that you have that's like that. So you also see here, button copy I put in green. Green means go in this guide. So whether you link to it to order or pre-order on Amazon or wherever you're publishing your book, and then on your website, you can offer signed author copies, like a special edition that's not available anywhere else. So that is your book page. And you'll see later that once you have this page written, how it's going to help you write your homepage. So I love this. So open this is like my table of contents left. So you might have a services page as well if you're an author entrepreneur, or if you offer services and are working on a book, you might have this page as well. So there's a lot that can go in this page. Selling your services, some people find it really challenging. Like, oh, I'm really smart, buy this thing I do, work with me, please. I'm not going to go into a ton of detail of what it should include because I teach an entire workshop on a sales or services page alone. But the 4 things it needs to have: number 1, your pain points, problems, or connecting with your potential client. What problem do they have? And the most important part here is, what are the actual words that they say when they're describing their problem? So this is what I call the before state. If you have a product, you might not have pain points. Like if you're a jewelry maker or artist, you're not necessarily solving a pain, but you're delivering something that they want, something that they need or crave. And then number 2, the after state, the pleasure, transformation, or opportunity. Easy way to write this: take your pain points, copy them, paste them, and write them in the opposite way. Really quick, easy way to do it. And you'll reword a lot of it, of course. Outline why you are the expert to help them. I've written the book on this. I've been teaching this for 2 decades. I've worked with companies bringing in this much money, all these things. Outlining why you are the person to help them, establishing your authority here. And then what they get from their services. So these are the actual components. You get, if you say you're a coach, you get monthly coaching calls, unlimited email access, you get a free guide, all those little things that someone might get. Or if it's something physical, you, not necessarily a service, but maybe they get access to one of your courses. You get this course, which has 8 video modules, which you can watch in 20 minutes or less. In this guide, you'll see I have some additional resources. These are free. These are blogs that use some additional writing prompts to help you write this. So second or third page you'll write. So remember, we don't start with the home page. We start with books, and then the services, if you have them, and then your about page. So many people overlook the about page. They think, I don't want to put myself out there. I don't want to be all about me. Your about page is probably probably the second most visited page on your website following your homepage. Right when we discover a new book or a service from someone, we want to know who wrote this. Who is this person? Why do I want to learn from them? So I have a short Mad Lib style thing you can use to fill out to get you started here. I'm a nonfiction author who also works with people who pain point. I help them get this so that they can get what they really want. So if you are not an entrepreneur and you're an author, which I don't know if this piece got caught in the first recording from Crowdcast that didn't work, was if you are an author, you are an entrepreneur. You're selling books. So reframing that. And when I say selling, side note, some people have a visceral reaction to the idea of selling. I think that's because we've seen so many bad examples of selling. We think of like the slimy car salesman. Selling is helping. You have expertise. Your books, you wrote them for a reason, to help people, to entertain people, to show people things, teach them how to do something. That is authentic selling. And selling is really an invitation and serving. You're just letting people know about how they can work with you, how they can learn from you. So on your about page, a quick introduction. Depending on the size of your company, I usually suggest writing this in first person. I love first person writing on a website because it's so much more personal. Now, if you include your bio on here, your bio will be written in third person, like your author bio, which shows up on the back of the book. So you might include that down the page later on. So here are some optional details You might share your story on your About page if it makes sense for your audience. If you used to be your target reader, then this is a great spot to highlight your story. Know that you're only going to share as much of your story as makes sense for your reader to know about. This is not a tell-all. This is not your autobiography. This is how much they need to know to complement your book. So you'll see some writing prompts here to get you going, to get you thinking. And a quick note on when you see some prompts, you'll see them here and in the additional resources I share, some blog posts for starting this writing. When you are drafting your website copy, this is also how I suggest drafting book content as well. I suggest writing it from a completely surrendered place. You might be familiar with the term SFD, which was a term Lamont coined that stands for the first draft. I do not believe your first draft, whether that's website copy or your books. Your SFD is surrendered and it's a draft. I suggest keeping editing totally separate from your writing. So as you draft your website copy, same with your books, I suggest writing, letting it flow, ignore the typos, look away from your screen, let it all out, let it sit, come back to it and edit later. Not the same day, and definitely not as you go. You'll write so much faster and you'll get so much more out when you write this way. So I say this to keep in mind as you're doing this writing, especially for an about page, because writing about yourself for some people can feel a little bit challenging here, especially when they're like, how much do I say? So you'll see some guidelines there on roughly how much to include. And then you're going to wrap it up with a call to action. So as you saw when Christy went through the site, every page gives you somewhere to go. Like you don't just get lost. Like you don't scroll to the end and I'm like, I don't know what to do now. Get in touch. Book services, buy the book, giving you something to do. So what do you want people to do? Sign up for my newsletter, read the blog, invite me to speak. And you'll see here, there's some optional things you can include, like a manifesto or a bio, and then some additional resources for you here. All right, now that we've written our book, services, and about page, now we write our homepage. We write this page last because it is basically a gathering of everything else you've already written. So your homepage is your foyer. It is when someone steps into your house, they step into your onto your website. What do you want them to know right away? Right away, you have a few seconds to let them know what you do. So having your book front and center, a coming soon book, or your services, whatever that is first, and then services first, these are my books. You'll see in the template, this aligns, the copy I have here aligns with the template with some additional stuff you might add. So like who the book is for, anything interesting about it, or awards that you've won. And of course, we want to make it easy if people land on your homepage to order the book right away. And then we have this short little bio again, which if you remember, we just did this on the about page. So you're going to pop that same thing you have here. You might tweak the language just a little bit, but we've already got most of that writing. And then what people are saying, what readers are saying, love from readers, the quotes and sources. Whether you do this with quotes, you can also do it with screenshots if your book is live and you're sharing live reviews. Really great way for social proof. And then you'll see these, I just put them as tables in here to line up with how this looks on, we're on homepage. All right. We have a question. What does pour another cup of tea mean? So this is an example of me being a little bit too clever, perhaps. And in some cases, pour another cup of tea means, what I'm really saying is pour a cup, stay a while, get in touch. Whereas depending on your reader, you might say something more direct than that, like get in touch, contact me, send me an email, whatever that is. And then the other thing I want to include down here is the footer. So it's under the home page. And here we see this down here. Someone scrolls all the way to the bottom of your website. What do you want them to do? Great opportunity here. So newsletter. Love, love, love having a newsletter, especially as an author. So as an entrepreneur, you have lots of things to talk about, your regular content. If you're an author that does not offer services, you can still keep in touch with your readers. Think about how great it would be to launch your next book to a list of people who are already interested in your other books. And this is what you'll get over time as you grow your newsletter. So here, I always suggest saying something that is not get updates, join my list. No one wants to join a list. What you're going to say is, what do they get specifically? The with them. What's in it for me? What do I get by signing up for your newsletter? I will get hidden chapters, extra insights that aren't in the books, early access, first peeks. Like, what am I going to get? Be the first person to know about interviews, special events we're having. You'll hear from me roughly once a month. And feel free to start with monthly before you move it up to anything more frequent. And then you'll see the other things that you can also put in your footer. Social links, make sure they open in a new tab. This is like my number one pet peeve when I'm on a website and I click to follow you on Instagram and it opens right here, which on Squarespace, they make it really easy when you add the link to make sure it opens in a new tab. So please do that because we don't want people clicking away from your site. All right, I'm going to quickly chat about some of the other pages and then we can start gathering your questions. So feel free to drop them in the chat and then I'll come to them about anything else if you want to ask about the Squarespace template, websites, and the writing. So visits is another option that's on this template, which could be an events page. So if you're doing appearances, book signings, you have a book tour, any virtual events, you'll include this here. You can also include quotes from book club participants, podcasts, any other speaking hosts, like if you're doing a podcast tour. Other pages you might include, a blog. So a blog is a great way to continue to share your writing. And if you also have a newsletter, your blog is essentially what you will email your newsletter subscribers. Sharing your knowledge, continuing to position yourself as an expert. Basically telling them when they land on this page, why do I want to read this blog? What will I learn? So if you're thinking about a blog, there are a couple additional blogs here for you to read about blogging. And then your 404 page. So many people overlook this, but you can make it fun and make sure it works for you. So based on where you think your reader might go, you can include links to your blog, your homepage, your contact page, having a search function on there. Like if I land here by accident, instead of making this page look like an afterthought, then make it intentional. And then lastly, the contact page. So more than just a form, tell people what you want them to get in touch for. So having your name, get in touch, like whatever language you would most naturally use here, get in touch, send me an email. And then tell them what to get in touch for. If you to interview me, podcasts, guest talking, book clubs, questions about this or the services. And some other things you can also include on here, agent, publicity, film and TV, all that stuff. All right. At the end of the guide, you'll see a little note from me about who wrote this thing. That is about me. And some thoughts on what to do next. I'll come back to this in a second. I'm going to chat about some of the questions. First one we got from Dana. What are your thoughts about a one-page website to get started? I want to see your thought too, Christy. Christy is a fan of one-page sites when you're getting started. You have a template for one. Awesome. Yeah, I agree. I think if you are writing a one-page website, you can still follow this guide and you would essentially follow it in this order. Because if you think about someone landing on your website and scrolling through, having everything in one spot, you might just have less writing on each section. Totally great to get started. The other thing I recommend, if you're a service provider and you have a book, I would make sure you include links to your books. And if you offer services, have that on the page as well. Because if our website's going to do anything, we want our websites are here to make money. And how we do that is through our services and our books. So make sure that's on there, or even if it's just a book coming soon page. So it'll essentially all be on your homepage. A little short snippet about yourself and then how to get in touch. All right, Christy is asking, if you already have a Squarespace site, what happens if you apply a new template to it, like the scribe template you're showing? Also, is it possible to take a template and change your colors, fonts to match your brand? Christy, I'm going to let you cover this one.
Hey, that's a great question. Yeah, I love the technical questions. So, Chrissy, it's actually really unwieldy to apply a template to an already existing website for a couple of reasons. One, there are two different versions of Squarespace kind of out in the wild right now. There's the older 7.0 version where you could actually have templates and apply them, but we're not using that version anymore for the most part. There's a new version where you would have to actually just go in and rebuild it all. So, what I recommend instead of doing that is to, if you purchase a template, start with a template. And then when you're done, what you can do is move your domain name from pointing to the old site to point to the new site to make that new site live. And then you can cancel your hosting plan on the old website. So that's what I do when I work with clients. It just keeps it really clean and easy. If you need help with moving blog posts over, there are methods for that. So reach out to me if you have questions about that. I'm happy to share what I know about that. And the other question was, is it possible to take a template and change the colors, fonts to match your brand? Absolutely. That is actually really easy to do. I have videos with all the templates that walk you through how to do that. So yeah, it's just a few clicks to update the colors and fonts, and it propagates throughout the whole website. So it's really nice.
Thank you, Christy.
Mhm.
We also had another question. What's the best way to show different formats for the same book? Paper book, audio, ebook. I dropped a link in the chat, DIYbookcovers.com for
That's the one
3D
I
mock.
use too,
Oh,
Jack.
is it? Oh, good.
Yeah.
That's so funny. I love it because you can get different mock-ups for ebook and then like really help it reflect your cover, especially if you don't have your book yet. Like,
Mhm.
what are you supposed to do? So I really like that, and it's free. So always a fan of things.
And I will say that like you don't have to have the different images for each version, right? You can have one version and then have buttons to purchase the
Yeah.
paperback, audio, and ebook. So, you don't have to have images for each one of those if you don't want to.
Yeah, that's a point, Christy. I could see how that would get really busy on the page to
Hmm.
have all those different types. Like you might
Hmm.
have that image of all your formats in one, what I'm
Yeah,
thinking, like one
one
collage
mock-up.
type image
Yeah.
that sits
Hmm.
somewhere, and then have the buttons.
Yeah.
That'll make it really easy. So we welcome any other questions. I'm going to chat through two potential ways if you want to work with Christy and I, which are also in the doc. Um, one is a very much DIY option, but smart DIY because going and trying to do it on your own is a little bit challenging. So you can get one of the templates from Christy and then access to my Intuitive Writing School community membership for a month and then a one-on-one call. So there's a link to grab that for a bonus price for a limited time. All right, and then option two, if you want done for you. So Christy has a 2-day website build. I've worked with Christy on several website projects and love her speed, efficiency. She knows Squarespace. She graciously answers all my questions whenever I ping them to her on my own websites. She just knows so many things and does such a great job. And then I will write 4 of your website pages for you. So this is by application because we want to make sure that you're a great fit. So you can click here to sign up, and then we will get in touch with you and book a call. And I think that's all. One other question here. How can you make the tabs open separately so your page still stays up? Maybe
I'll
it
just show you.
yeah.
Yeah, I can. Let me share my screen really quickly. So if I click edit here and I scroll down, edit the site footer, here are those little links. You'll actually see, you just drop in your links right here. And this kind of panel, it's automatically set to open in a window. So there, it's really easy. But let me show you, for example, if you have a book buy button. So, for example, this one, if you want to buy it on Amazon, if you go and attach a link here, let me just drop in amazon.com. It will automatically toggle on open in a new tab for you if this is an external website. But if it's off for some reason, you just toggle it on. And then when you save that, it will save it and it will open up in a new tab just like that.
Great. I had a feeling that's what that question's about. Christy has a question for you as well.
Yes. Do you also help with the technical aspects of Squarespace, like a Q&A type of consulting? I absolutely do. So I offer 1-hour screen shares with me. So if you go to my website, it's under Squarespace help, but I will drop a link here so you can read more about it. We get a lot done in an hour too.
Yeah.
And we record the session so you can refer back to things because I work pretty fast because I want you to get value for your money for that hour. So come with lots of questions. We'll work really quickly, knock them out, and you'll get a recording.
Thank you, Christy.
Yeah, and Jack, do you want to talk a little bit about your writing community? I just joined, and I feel like that might be really useful to a lot of people on the call.
Yeah, I would love to. So a little bit about the community. I started it in 2018. So I've been a copywriter full time since 2017, on the side since 2015. So almost a decade after, and I bridged that with my 13-year corporate career. Always having a love of writing, never necessarily grew up and thought, oh, I want to be an author. But I was, as a copywriter, I was doing all the writing for everyone else and not working on the projects that I wanted to work on. Namely, a book that I had started in 2017. I drafted the book during one writing challenge called NaNoWriMo, National Novel Writing Month. So if you are a author, you would probably know all about that. I no longer recommend that for lots of reasons, but I drafted my book and then I let it sit for a whole year. I didn't touch it. And in 2018, I edited the book and I created this writing community because it was what I needed to finish my writing projects. As a service-based business owner, we do so much for other people and then we put our stuff last. So this was the community I needed, where I actually came and finished my book, drafted my second book, and I'm editing my third book now. So the community's been around since 2018. We do lots of things in there. We do co-write and chill sessions, which I have a couple options for to pop in for free at the start of September. It's 2 hours. We join just like this on Zoom, cameras off. There's no cameras in my community. Declare what we're working on, jump in, start writing. I check in halfway through, and then before we break, we do monthly workshops. We have a monthly writing marathon, which is a 3-hour session, and we join just like this. And if anyone has questions or wants some feedback on a piece of writing, we screen share. I pull up the screen and we talk through your writing. Now, if you've never had feedback on your writing before, know that I've been a writing coach for about as long as I've been a copywriter. Feedback is always kind and helpful. And in probably the thousands of pieces of writing I've seen, I have never seen a piece of writing that was bad, terrible, or hopeless. Literally not a thing. You're probably a better writer than you think, even website copy. I hear a lot of people say, oh, but I'm no good. I'm like, yeah, you probably are. You know more than you think. And we've also got templates, swipe files, inspiration. We do quarterly planning. We do full moon writing sessions, which are 3 hours long. Just get a bunch done. There's probably more I'm missing, but there's also the community aspect too of, frankly, the members are truly badass. They're publishing books, they're running businesses, starting new businesses. Pretty much 99% of people in there are a business owner. And it's interesting how some people join the community thinking they were joining to work on website copy or emails or something like that. And within a couple months, they're like, I'm working on a book, which has been so cool to see. It's like book writing is contagious. So if you think you might have a book in you, you might you might uncover it in
And
there soon.
I love the love that you're getting in the chat from Christine and Dana. I just joined the community and I'm so excited to experience all the goodness you have in
Yeah.
there. And it sounds like Christy and Dana have gotten so much value out of it.
Yeah, they both actually have books. Some of them very recently published too, which has been
Amazing.
exciting to watch their books unfold in our writing sessions when they show up time and time again. They're like, I'm working on a book draft, working on some editing.
Amazing.
Yeah,
Jack, is there anything else you want to share before we wrap up?
there's probably a million things I could share. Just one piece of advice, with your website writing and writing anything, trust yourself. If there is a sneaky little voice, that inner critic that tells you that you can't do it, you don't know enough, squash that immediately. You know so much more than you think. Your words, your voice are truly needed, and someone needs to read what you're writing. So please write it, and please put it on a website so people can find it and buy it.
That is fantastic advice. I love it. And if you want help with copywriting or help with a website, feel free to reach out to Jack and me. That's it for the webinar recording. Could you do me a favor and just let me know if you made it to the end by hitting the like button and commenting "made it"? I know this was a longer one, so thanks for sticking around. I hope you found the resources valuable, and I wish you all the best with your website.